Hello and welcome to a very special video. Holly & Co turns 4. It is our 4th birthday today. Woohoo! It's been a very long journey, but it's also been really quick. It doesn't feel like we've been doing this for 4 years, and we did not think we would be here. Absolutely not. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video and talk about the journey of Holly & Co from start to now. We have a lot of new customers and followers that don't know where we started. We also get a lot of questions from people asking, you know, how we got to where we are today. So I thought that I would just do a video talking about the different products that we've bought out, milestones, our transition from handmade to manufactured, and just go through the timeline of Holly & Co. I had to go through our Instagram archive and it was really fun actually, because there's a lot of things that I forgot that we even did, because we've done so many. So I have a little note here and I'll try and make this video as short as possible. Okay, I've just moved over so that I can put examples of the things I'm talking about here. So when we first started Holly & Co, Jan was working part-time as a medical receptionist. I was working casually night fill at Woolies, and I was also studying a second degree at the time because I was going to go into web design. So just to put that into perspective for you, I feel as though there's a lot of people that start their businesses and just chuck in their jobs, but we actually worked for a really long time when we first started, and we pretty much put not only all the money that Holly & Co was producing back into it, but the money that we were both earning, we put into it. So that's how we were able to grow as well, because just all of our own personal money, and then obviously what the business was producing was going straight back into reinvesting into the business. So I just thought I'd point that out. 25th of May 2018 was our first Instagram post. And you're probably thinking, okay, but you said that your birthday is the 7th of June. Correct. Our first sale was the 7th of June 2018, and I don't really class our first Instagram post as when we like officially started Holly & Co. I don't even know if our website was up at that point. So 7th of June 2018 was our first sale. I don't actually have it written here, but our second sale wasn't until I think the 14th of July or something ridiculous like that. So we went an entire month with only that one order when we started, and then nothing. So I guess as a little bit of inspiration, just keep at it, because imagine if we had just been like, oh well, this is it, goodbye, we wouldn't be here. So we began with an Etsy and a Wix website, which is why we don't necessarily talk about like how many orders and things we've had, because we had a lot on the Wix website and then transitioned over to Shopify, so it doesn't link up. But we did start with Etsy. I think that was a really big thing for us back then, being handmade. Also talking about our accessories, we were fully handmade when we first started. I think we just had collars, leashes, bows. That is how we started, okay? No manufactured, nothing. And back when we started, there wasn't really that many handmade businesses, which I think worked to our benefit. A handful. Most people were manufactured. Handmade wasn't really a saturated market back then. So that's how we started. We got our first ambassador on the 24th of July, which is Mr. Birdie Brown, and he is still an ambassador to this day. His mummager Emma is so lovely, one of the loveliest people I've ever got to virtually meet. Amazing person, and has been with us through the entire thing right until now and still killing it. So Mr. Birdie Brown, we love you. We were the first brand to do all velvet accessories, okay? So collars, leashes, bows, sailor bows, poop bags, chest harnesses, everything. And we've stood by that, and we still do our velvet today. Obviously, it's a little bit different to when we first started, but we were the first brand to do fully velvet everything, including velvet chest harnesses, which I'll probably get to later, but fully velvet chest harnesses were not a thing. So we were the first to do that, and that is sort of what got us going and made us different from everyone else. I always get asked about like, how can I get to where you are, and how did you get so big? Big. We had velvet accessories, which nobody did back then. It wasn't popular. Velvet was not a thing. There were a few brands doing just some like velvet bows, but there wasn't anybody doing the whole shebang. And so that was what set us apart from everybody else. So that's how we sort of got the ball rolling, and how we got really popular really quick, I want to say. And I'm also not sure about this because I didn't do any research back in the day, but I have a feeling we were one of the first, if not the first brand to do metal branding. Everyone that was doing handmade just had like your cotton sew-on tags. A few brands had bamboo cork tags. We did metal branding, which was very expensive, but very luxe. So that was something that also set us apart from everybody else, and it sort of made our brand elevated, I guess. The 23rd of September 2018, we hit 100 sales on Etsy. Wow, 100. We thought that was so good back in the day. And honestly, that's a pretty good timeline. I feel like 100 sales on the 23rd of September, so only a couple of months. And I don't really have anything for the rest of 2018. We just sort of were bringing out new fabrics, velvets, etc. We then transitioned over to Shopify on the 1st of January 2019. So to start the year off clean and nice, that's when we did that. We were also the first to do velvet sailor bows. I really want to point that out because everyone's doing them now, but we were actually the first to do velvet sailor bows. 15th of December 2018 was when we first announced that. The tail pieces, we don't talk about them. This one makes me laugh. The 9th of January 2019, our processing time increased to 5 to 7 business days. Before that, I think it was like 2 to 3, 1 to 3. We were basically making it as soon as we got the order. I remember being so apologetic in our stories and being like, guys, we're gonna get it back down and we're so sorry, and 5 to 7 business days, okay? You're probably wondering why I'm banging on about this. You wait until the end. 5 to 7 business days, that's a joke. 27th of January 2019, we announced the first ever velvet poop bags. I think it was around this time. It was like April of 2020. No, I think April of 2019 actually. I quit my job. And I think Jan wasn't long before that. I think it was around 2019 she quit her job, and it was around 2019 that I quit my job. I kept doing uni for a little bit, and then it just was not possible. So I didn't actually like drop out of uni, I just deferred, but the unis never got back in touch with me, so I think they're just like, we don't give a shit, bitch. But I deferred my uni, I think it was like halfway through 2019 when I realised there was no possible way to do both, and I've never gone back. So, I mean, I do already have a degree, so I don't feel as bad, but yeah, I kind of wish I had been able to finish that, but shit happens. The 15th of July 2019, whoa, that far back. We did our first pop-up shop. So there's a business here in Tassie that does makers events, design events, kind of like a market, I guess, for handmade people. And she was doing a pop-up here in Launceston, which is the city that we are located in. And so we decided to make a whole bunch of stuff, which was very stressful because obviously having orders and having to make a bulk stock of handmade stuff. So we did that, and it was okay. It was pretty successful, but unfortunately, don't hate me Tasmanians, but y'all don't get dog stuff, okay? Tassie people just don't get it. We are so far behind when it comes to trends and all that, and I don't know. So it was a good experience and it was good to get our name out there, but it's kind of disappointing a little bit because, yeah, Tassie people just... The 11th of October 2019, we got an industrial sewing machine. Very, very important. We were always making things on a normal sewing machine. The sewing machines that we had were always very expensive though. For anyone wondering, Janome, best sewing machines ever. We ended up getting an industrial Janome sewing machine. It was a lot of money at the time, but never looked back, and it made us able to do a lot more. Velvet chest harnesses, for example. And it just increased the quality of our products. Which leads me to the 13th of October 2019, we made the first ever fully velvet chest harness. And that's a really big deal because, as I said, I think there were people doing velvet harnesses, including us, but with just normal webbing straps, because it was very hard to get a machine that was able to sew through such thick velvet. But obviously with our industrial machine, we were able to do that. So that was when we made the first fully velvet chest harness, and it was a big deal. So January of 2020 is when we introduced a 2-week processing time, and that was a big deal back then. Most handmade businesses were sort of 1-week turnaround. So going up to a 2-week turnaround time was terrifying. And I remember Jan was so nervous about it, and I was just like, look, we're going to have to do it. We don't have enough time. You're sewing 7 days a week. I'm sewing 7 days a week. We don't have time to introduce new products. We're just going to have to do it. We're going to have to bite the bullet and do it. And honestly, it was pretty well received by the community. Most people were pretty happy with it. Obviously, you got the occasional person that's like, 2 weeks, that's ridiculous. But of course, you're going to get those. So 8th of May 2020, we announced flower collars, lace velvet harnesses, and lace velvet bows. First to do them. I really want to point that out there because Jan gets really upset about this. There are some brands out there that now do the lace velvet harnesses and kind of claim it as their own, I guess, but Jan actually came up with that idea. And I remember saying to her, really? Like, you're going to be able to put lace over velvet? It was such a foreign concept to me, not knowing anything about sewing. She's like, yeah, it'll be easy. Boom, nailed it. So we were actually the first to do that. And then I was like, why don't we put lace over the top of velvet on bows? First to do that too. So they're just small things that sort of made us different to everybody else, I guess, and sort of pushed us out there. I don't know why this is in the wrong order, but we're going to go back. 21st of February 2020 is when we did our application for our Dog Momager trademark and also our Holly & Co trademark. Holly & Co trademark is probably a story for another day, but basically some bitch in the UK tried to take us and tell us we weren't allowed to trademark, and $20,000 later we won. So that was really fun, but our Dog Momager trademark went through smoothly. The 20th of July we announced our Dog Momager apparel. We've been a bit quiet with it lately, but it is coming back. We're just waiting for our embroidery machine. But Dog Momager is a registered trademark of Holly & Co, which means that we are the only people in Australia that can use it. So that's really fun. Very expensive process, but I think it was worth it. And the 13th of August is when we announced our Nomad collection. So Nomad for us is like our walkwear type of stuff, but we wanted to call it something different because at the time we still had some handmade and then we were transitioning into some manufacturing because it was too much to handle for poor little Jan on her sewing machine. So we class that as our Nomad collection. I do still sometimes refer to it as that, but not often. And we bought out 4 designs to begin with. I'll put them here somewhere. So that was the 13th of August 2020. The 29th of September 2020, our Dog Momager trademark was registered. That's how long it takes, February to September, which is actually a pretty quick turnaround for a trademark. But that's when it officially came in, so that was great. September of 2020, we came up with the concept of boheme bows. First of their kind. It was a bow with a knotted middle, something that I had not seen before, at least within the dog industry. Maybe had seen it in like baby hair bows, but not dog bows. And now everybody does them. But September 2020, bitches, that's when it was out. October of 2020 was when we announced a 4-week turnaround. I remember being so gutted about that because 4 weeks is such a long time. It's a month and you have to take people's payments. So obviously we had people's money for a month before their products were going out, and especially if you get an international customer, they're waiting 4 weeks, then it's shipped out, and then it's probably like another 4 weeks in shipping. So we were gutted, and that was sort of when we were like, okay, we need to seriously think about moving to fully manufactured. Obviously we already had the Nomad stuff and it was selling well, so that was sort of our point of like, okay, let's make this happen. And I think another thing on top of that, I've seen a lot of businesses that were fully handmade try to go to manufactured and it hasn't seemed to work for them, just from what I've seen, and it's kind of disappointing, I guess. But for us, we really worked our asses off making a point of like showing why manufactured is good and why they should buy our manufactured rather than our handmade, and how it's going to be the same if not better, you know. So we've really worked on marketing it, and that's how we sort of made the transition. So I think there's this big stigma of like, oh, I can just go manufactured and everyone will buy my stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You really have to, like, we've lost a lot of customers and lost a lot of Instagram followers and whatnot, and our growth has slowed on in terms of like Instagram followers, which doesn't really matter, I guess, but just from going from handmade to manufactured, because obviously the majority, if not all, of our followers and customers back then wanted us for handmade, and then when you go away from that, some people don't want to follow you. On the 31st of October 2020, our Holly Doggins crossed the Rainbow Bridge, which was very unexpected and obviously devastating. She's the reason that the brand is what it is today. She was a very badass bitch, honestly. Without Holly, we wouldn't have started this brand because, I mean, we first started by making her a collar and then said, why don't we make it for everybody? So without her, we wouldn't have this brand and we would have never existed. And so for those of you that don't know, Holly was a Molshi. She was born in 2008, so she was older when we started the business, and she'd never been dressed up her entire life. But she made it work when we went into this business. She modelled her little heart out, the little bitch. So she was diagnosed with congestive heart failure like the Sunday prior to the 31st of October, so like a week before. Multiple vet trips were told that she had at least 2 years of life left, and you know, most dogs that get congestive heart failure have a pretty good prognosis, like a couple of years, they get on medication, they just live their normal life. And then of course there was like, but there are some rare cases where the dog may go very quickly. Of course that had to be Holly, didn't it? She loved to be the best at everything. So we made the decision to put her to sleep on the 31st of October 2020, which is why Halloween isn't a fun time for us. But this year we're going to make it different, and we're going to make it Hollyween, and we're going to make it really fun and exciting and get the whole community involved in celebrating the life of Holly Doggins. So on that somber note, let's get happy again. For Holly, the 15th of November, we released king size bow ties, which honestly, I regret doing that because ever since then, I have so many people say, I want a king size bow. King size bows, the pattern, I want to say is like this big. It is huge. It's like 1/2 meter of fabric. It's so big. I kind of just made them as a bit of a joke because the longer the dog community has gone on, the bigger the bow ties have gotten. If you go back to when we first started, a normal bow tie was like this size. A normal bow tie is like this big now. So the king size bow was kind of a joke, but it was popular, so we just kept it. The 29th of November was our first major rebrand. We had done a little tweak here and there prior to that, but that was the first time that our logo and our aesthetic and our actual brand and identity changed fully. We were planning it for 2021. It was going to start on January 1st, but with Holly passing, it just seemed right because our new vibe was very vibrant and happy and colourful and rainbow, whereas our vibe before that was very much like neutrals and pastels and things like that. So it made sense, and it was almost like fate. I don't want to say I believe in that, but that's kind of how it felt. So that was our first major rebrand. I do want to say it didn't last long because there was sort of a bit of a bitch on Instagram with people being like, you're copying this brand, rare, rare, rare. So we ended up sort of moving away from it. But that was sort of what got us to be where we are today, in a much more vibrant, happy, lively business, you know what I mean? So 1st of January 2021 was our second mass drop of Nomad. Back in the day we did sort of like 4 at a time, and that was Mosaniac, Zebra Lala, Flower Power and Floralicious, and they sort of fit with our new vibe as well, getting a bit brighter, a bit more bold, and just getting out there. Bright colours for us were really scary, I just want to say, because as I said, we'd done neutrals and florals and pretty cutesy little things our entire existence, and then we suddenly went to the big bright stuff. That was very scary for us because back then I hated colour. I was very much against anything colourful. Now I couldn't see it any other way. 9th of January 2021, we were featured in British Vogue. That was very exciting. That was our first magazine feature. And then the 30th of January, we were featured in Vanity Fair, so that was even more exciting. We were also featured in House and Garden at some point. I don't know when that was. I love how I'm just like, oh, another magazine. The 18th of March was when we announced that our velvet would now be manufactured, and the response was very mixed. There were a lot of people that were like, it's not going to be as good, and then there were people that were like, we'll just stick by you with whatever. Look at it now. It's freaking amazing. Like, we wouldn't bring out a shit product, okay? The 30th of April 2021, we released collar charms for the first time. Honestly, one of my favorite products. I really, really love them. It just adds a little bit of personality to an otherwise boring outfit. The 4th of May 2021, we hit 50k followers on the gram. The reason that I'm putting this in here and not anything else is because we grew really quickly when we first started, as I said, because Instagram wasn't as saturated and it was really popular. I don't think people like Instagram as much now. So I wanted to put that in here because obviously it's now been a year and we've only got 58,000 followers. So in a year we've only grown 8,000, which isn't, well, it's still a lot, but like compared to where we were before, we were getting like 20,000 a year. I just wanted to put that in there. So that was still a big thing though. So the 14th of May was when we actually announced the new Velvet range and showed what it would look like. And that's when a lot of people were like, okay, Holly and Co, I see what you're doing. And people were, I guess, reassured that it wasn't just going to be some random shit from China. We actually did a lot of research into our Velvet because obviously if it's not Jen's quality, it's not good enough, and it was Jen's quality. And the 20th of May was when it went live and it was so successful. It was so good, and I guess it just made all the time of us being like, shit, are we ruining our brand? Like, are people gonna like us anymore? It made that just go away. And we realized that we had done something great. So June of 2021, we moved into an office space, which was very daunting. I'd never obviously rented a commercial property before. I'd been running it from my parents' house, but so I actually paid to get the carport filled in at my parents' house, and we were thinking that would be enough because it's like, I guess, a garage and then the back room onto that, which was our sewing studio. We thought that that would be plenty until I was able to save up for a house and then move it all in there. Bitch, you're so dumb. No, so we are now in an office space. That was very frightening. And it sucks because it's like $2,000 a month that I could have for the business. But I mean, it's nice to get out and have an actual office space, and it feels like a proper job now. You know what I mean? So that was very exciting. The 1st of July, we released our People Sucks range, which will also be coming back. It's just something a little bit different from like a dog mum vibe. People do suck. The 9th of August, we released Breed Socks. New ones are coming very soon. The 25th of November 2021, we announced our shit bags, our very own compostable poop bags. That is something that I had wanted to do for the longest time. We were actually wholesaling from another brand that had compostable poo bags, and I was just like, I want my own. I want something that is Holly & Co.'s. That cost a lot of money. I still don't think we've recovered from how much money that cost, but we now have our own poo bags. We've been wholesaling them non-stop. They're out there, and I mean, it's called le shit. It's not just your ordinary compostable poo bags. They're cute and they're funny. The 5th of January 2022, we announced the Dog Next Door collection, which are our planes in the like walkwear, nomad type of stuff. They've been very, very popular. Something else that we need to work on getting more of because it has been very popular and people love to mix and match. So that was something that was really good. 18th of January, we uploaded our very first YouTube video. Ooh, so not that long ago. And we have about 1,500 subscribers at the moment, which never thought that we'd have that many by now. Incredible. So thank you for watching. The 21st of March, our Velvet Bespoke bows came back. So obviously now being manufactured, we have a bit more time to do different things. So we thought that we would bring back our OG Velvet bows that everybody loves. And once again, people hadn't forgotten. The response from that was incredible, and we're still selling heaps to this day. So that leads me to where we are currently. We've slowed down on new products a little bit, and we're focusing more on quality over quantity. I feel as though when we first started getting things manufactured, it was this race of, okay, we've just got a new print, it's in the works, what are we going to do next? And it was always thinking ahead and worrying about if someone was bringing out the same print and trying to outdo everyone. And now we've just slowed down, come into ourselves a little bit more, and we're just doing what we do well. In saying that, we have another velvet in the works. That is something very special that I haven't seen done in velvet. I've not seen it done, so that'll be very exciting. Costing a lot more money, but whatever. And then we've also got some more nomad coming, but it's stuff that, it's a floral, and we're known for florals, and I'm very passionate about doing good florals, so that's really nice. So we're still bringing things out frequently just to keep things fresh. but we get low quantities. We've found a manufacturer that allows us to be able to produce in smaller batches so that there's no waste. That's also something that we're very passionate about. Obviously we have recyclable packaging, biodegradable packaging, all that type of stuff, but we're more concerned about the waste that goes into manufacturing, because as I said, when we first started manufacturing, no one was really doing it. There were a few brands here and there. Now everybody has got on the overseas manufacturing train, which is fine. We all have our place here. There's room for everyone. But I do see a lot of brands that start and then within 3 months they're closing down and they're selling all their things super cheap. And I worry about the waste that's going into that. That's not to say that we are faultless, because we've definitely put things on clearance in the past that we're kind of like, we probably shouldn't have bought that. In saying that though, a lot of things that we have put on clearance in the past that we've been stuck with that otherwise would have just ended up in landfill, we have donated to various charities. I actually have a certificate from Dogs in the Park that we have donated to. We also donated a bunch of our cat collars that we used to have to a place in Tassie called Just Cats. And also we obviously have like our seconds. Jan's able to repair things, which is really nice. So that's something that we're doing right now and we're trying to focus more on, which is a zero waste and low impact business. Because I think with the amount of dog businesses out there now, we want to do the right thing. So that's sort of where we are now. We have massive things planned for the rest of 2022 and beyond. We have an industrial embroidery machine on order, which it should be here within the next couple of weeks. I'm nervous about that. I'm nervous because it's a very big investment. We have put a lot of money into that, but I think it's something that will bring our mummager range back up, because we've stepped back from that a lot recently. So that'll be nice to be able to bring that up. And we're going to have a lot of dog mummager stuff because obviously it's our trademark. Why wouldn't we? And a lot of personalised mummager gear. That's what I'm going to say. So I hope this gives you some insight into where we've come from, all the process that we've gone through and where we are today. Another thing that I want to add in there is that during our first year and maybe even part of our second year, we were pretty heavily bullied on Instagram, especially by some random dog accounts, but also some other businesses. And we almost closed down multiple times. The reason that I'm telling you this is because I want to show that what you feel is bad at the time, you don't even think about it in years to come. Like, I don't even think about those people now. I've moved on and like, look at where we are. We're celebrating our 4th birthday. We have our own freaking office. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that if you are a business owner and you're struggling, whether it just be with yourself or other people being nasty and you feel like closing, don't do it. No, we weren't closing because of these people necessarily. Jan and I had discussed it multiple times and we both were just like, we're here to sell stuff for dogs and to see cute dogs wearing our stuff. We're not here for drama. We're not here for competition. We're not here for other businesses to try and bring shit on. We're here for dogs. And so we felt as though at the time, our first couple of years, that we'd rather just go and get normal jobs and live normal lives, because the drama that came with running this business when we first started was not worth it. And to be honest, it all came from jealousy. It was businesses that we were friends with, and then we grew bigger than them. They became jealous and nasty and spread rumors and all that jazz. So just keep on keeping on, because look where we are now. And the truth always comes out, okay? So don't worry if people are talking shit about you behind the scenes. It's who you actually are that matters. So I hope this gives you some insight into where we've come from, our journey, the troubles we went through, all the good stuff that we've had, and where we are now. And I hope that this inspires you as well to start a business and keep at it, because it is hard. A lot of people think it's so much easier than it is, and it's not. It is really hard, especially right now. E-commerce has gone down. I don't know where I read this, but I think it had gone down by like 27% or something. So I've seen a lot of businesses closing recently, which is heartbreaking. So obviously it's a lot harder than what people think. I think people think you just set up a website and boom, you get sales. It doesn't work like that. There's a lot of hard work that goes in behind the scenes, a lot of blood, sweat and tears. Jan and I have cried not recently, but as I said, when our business first started, many tears were shed, and a lot of anxiety was shed, and all that stuff. So I just want to say, come back to this video if you ever need inspiration. Literally come back and listen to our journey time and time again when you're feeling that you're not getting anywhere, or you might be feeling a little bit stuck in your journey. Come back here, because we have gone 4 years strong. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. We're only getting bigger. And I mean, I never thought that I would ever start my own business. That wasn't something I was passionate about. When I left school, I was going to be an accountant. So I went to uni, got an accounting degree, also was working full-time as an accountant, realized that I hated it. So I ended up leaving that job, finishing my degree, which I'm really proud of. I finished the degree, then started studying a web design degree, because that's something that I was really passionate about, and that's what I was going to do. Just started Holly & Co as a side thing. Jan and I, we made a couple of collars for Holly, and we were like, let's start selling them. We did. Rest is history. So literally anyone can start their own business. Anyone can do it. It's hard work. It's a lot of money. We've sacrificed a lot of things, a lot of weekends, a lot of social time, but we wouldn't have it any other way, because look where we are now. I'm now able to employ not only myself, but Jan. I get paid a full-time wage every week. Jan gets paid a part-time wage every week. And I guess another thing is that we didn't have really a lot of people that supported us when we first started. A lot of people judging, a lot of people that were sort of snickering behind the scenes, like, you're starting a dog accessory business. But look where we are now. So joke's on them, because I now work for myself in the coolest job in the world. So yes, here's to Holly & Co turning 4 and many years more. Bye.